Hey guys, my name is Ryan, and welcome to Overwatch Central. So last week, some of you may have seen a video that me and Miska did where we spoke about Season 5 and ultimately why we stopped playing competitive Overwatch, what were the problems. And it boils down to the fact that Season 4 and Season 5 kind of blended into one another. There was no changes with the meta. Changes to Assault and Decay and all of that was sort of midway through the season that it didn't really feel that we got a good break and a completely refreshed new season like we're going to with Season 6. There's a lot of stuff that's going to come out, both what Scott Mercer has said that was in the developer update by Jeff Kaplan, and also a community post from Lileria going over some things that weren't mentioned. In this video, we want to go over some of the stuff that is coming in Season 6, whether we think it's going to be effective or not, but also go over some other ideas that the community have had, and realistically see whether they fit in a game like Overwatch. But the first one that I want to start off with is performance-based SR, and this was actually spoken about in a community post after the developer update went out. I kind of want to avoid the meme of just being a YouTuber that reads out patch notes, if you don't mind me, so I'm just going to read out this sentence. We've adjusted the calculations that determine how much skill rating players will gain after a win and lose after a loss. And it goes on to say that the changes will address some of the anomalies that players have seen, should help out, and they're going to fine-tune this as they go along and want feedback as they go along. I'm sure most of you know what I mean when I talk about performance-based SR, but for those that don't, maybe confused what I'm talking about, it's the idea that you might get more SR points based off a win because you played well. Essentially, as you know, when you win and lose, you get different amounts varying from your own performance. And essentially, the idea that I want to talk about is stripping that down completely and just having it maybe a base 30 per win, 30 per loss, as opposed to any forms of numbers that it could be. Now, performance-based SR is one of the main talking points aside from levers and throwers, which realistically the report system should start to work out. But there is a big problem with performance-based SR that I think is highlighted when you speak of other games like League of Legends and like Dota. It's much easier to carry in games like that in comparison to Overwatch. If you play well at the start of a match, you gain experience, you level up higher than your opponents, you get more gold so you can buy better gear, and essentially you can start to snowball and really punish the enemy team by being leagues ahead of them in experience, in power, in wealth. And realistically what your team could do is to make your life easier as the carrying player, and really you can win the game yourself if you just play completely out of your socks. The same as in Overwatch, but because it's a 6-player game instead of a 5-player game, and because you can change heroes as you go, maps are different, game modes are different, it's much harder to maintain those same results. But the key thing I want to mention about Dota here is regardless of whether you are the carrying player or you're being carried, you are rewarded the same amount for a win. The carrying player doesn't gain more SR or MMR, for example. You all gain the same amount. And I kind of wish a similar thing was in Overwatch. Overwatch is one of those games that is really emphasized to be a team-based game, that everybody should come together for the same result, to win the game. But if you are individually rewarding players more SR based on a system that doesn't quite make a lot of sense to a lot of people because it's meant to be a blind system to us that play it, you don't really reward that team play aspect. In fact, you kind of say to players to go and try and carry, to have an individual performance, as opposed to just doing whatever it takes and coming together to win, instead of how much damage you do, stuff like that. Performance-based SR is okay in small amounts. If a player gains 5 more or 10 more SR even than their player because they actually played tremendously well, that's fine. Just a flat-based amount for every win, then it stops players from trying to outperform each other, to try and big dick it, I suppose. And I feel like that's one of the biggest aspects that Overwatch needs to get right. As I said, I don't necessarily want to go on for too long about certain aspects of this, but I do want to talk about the new demotion system. Let's say, for example, you are in Diamond and you fall out of it into Platinum. You still have your Diamond logo, but if you lose 4 matches within Platinum, so probably lose about 100 SR, bearing in mind, you will lose your Diamond logo and it will be stripped down to Platinum. And I really like this. I think this is a really good way to keep the game dynamic. It solves the problem of, oh, why do they have a Diamond player on their team when he's in fact fallen all the way down to Gold because he's having a terrible time with this meta, or is just not very good at the game. Who knows? And I think that this keeps the carrot on the stick mentality in Overwatch. Maybe you are a gold player that wants to hit Platinum, and once you hit Platinum, you're like, yes, I hit my goal, but Diamond feels so far away, I don't know if I could hit it. Now your goal becomes maintaining that Platinum logo, maintaining that Platinum rank. And I think that's a really good way to keep players enticed in playing the game, as opposed to, oh, I've got this now, I don't care if I fall all the way down to low gold again, silver. It all becomes about maintaining that logo. There is another thing as well I think is worth bringing up, is that you are rewarded with competitive points based on your highest rank, and I'm surprised that Blizzard haven't gone the same sort of way. Instead of rewarding your end of season rank giving you the competitive points there. Now that raises another point that the golden weapons are kind of irrelevant now, I suppose. I imagine a lot of people have the golden weapons that they want on their mains at least, but I understand that maybe not a lot of players have all of the gold weapons that they want. It's still not that much of an incentive to play competitive, if that makes sense. It's a nice little thing to have, but it doesn't make all that much difference, I feel. I'm not necessarily saying that Blizzard should reward competitive points based on your end of season rank, far from it, but I'm surprised that Blizzard maybe didn't go down this route at all in particular, but let me know what you think about that anyway. Finally, I'm going to go over these final 3 things, which are MMR reset, role selection, and map voting rotation. These are all things that have been brought up by the community and have also been addressed by Scott Mercer from Gamescom in interviews with Seagull, Stylosa, Valkyria, and all that jazz, essentially saying, yeah, these aren't going to happen. An MMR reset at this point just seems unlikely. I understand that players want to have a complete fresh new start. Maybe didn't feel as if their first 2 seasons would affect their seasons further on into the future as much as they have, based off where you get places based off your last seasons, SR for example. I completely understand that, but ultimately it would completely ruin a competitive experience more than a week, more than a month, for like a few seasons, I feel. If you completely reset the MMR, pros would be mixed with bronze players, and whilst players would make their way in the direction that they should be in, I just feel that we're going to find ourselves in the same problem as we do now. And it certainly does feel that not resetting the MMR really promotes the use of smurfs, of new accounts, fresh new stats, as you will. I just don't think that Blizzard are ever going to push that big red button and reset everybody's SR without causing a huge amount of problems. It could happen, but it would have to be a complete disaster for it to happen in the first place. Think Noah's Ark in just wiping out the entirety of the world's population, because that's how it would be. Role selection, again, I don't like the idea of as you lock into competitive, you have to put, I'm going to play tank or I'm going to play DPS. This isn't World of Warcraft. This isn't the specific role it should play. I understand that people have their mains and their roles. I mean, I play more tanks than anything else. I understand that that's the kind of thing that I come into. However, I like Blizzard's idea more, that they're maybe going to base the MMR system off if you are primarily a tank player, you might actually get matched with support players, with DPS players, as opposed to being a support main and being matched with 4 other support mains and having that entire thing fall apart in your face. I understand the idea, I understand what it's trying to do, but I just don't think it's ever going to be likely for Blizzard to try. And I think the Blizzard's idea of just letting the game do that for you is going to be much more beneficial for everybody involved. And finally, map voting rotation. I really like this. There are a lot of maps in the game that I don't necessarily like, and I don't like the idea that whatever map you play is random. I think there should be some tactical skill involved in there. This may happen down the line when there's more maps, but at this point they've said that they're not going to do it, which is a shame, as I would really like to avoid Oasis if I possibly can. But that's everything I wanted to cover. This is something that we didn't get to do in the Season 5 video. These are all the things that people maybe want to see for Season 6. For me, performance-based SR, I would like to be gone if possible, or at least made minimal impact. The new demotion system is nice. I like the approach. I think it works out well, keeps players on their toes. The MMR reset, role selection, and map voting rotation, whilst I understand the ideas behind them, I just don't think are going to happen. But let us know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. We'll see you next time.